Hello, my name's Jade and today we will be discussing all the books that I read in June. I read, I think, 11 books. Like, one of them's a poetry collection, 4 of them are graphic novels, and there's also a short story in there. So make of that what you will. I think we'll start off with the more miscellaneous stuff, like the graphic novels and poetry collection and short story. One of the graphic novels I read this month was Giant Days Volume 5. I've talked about these before in my wrap-ups. I've read the first 4 before this, obviously. So I'll link down below anywhere else where I mention these. These are just really fun, easy reads. They're quite funny. I found this one in particular quite funny, and I remember finding the first 2 maybe quite funny. They're about 3 girls going in university in their second year in this one, but they do start in their first year, and it's just about the trials and tribulations of being at that age and figuring out university and all that kind of stuff. I'd give a 7 out of 10 to this one as well. I think I gave them all 7 out of 10. Just fun, easy. Other 3 graphic novels I read was Volumes 1, Volume 2 and Volume 3. I had already read Volume 1, I read it last year, I believe in October, but I reread it so that I could read the second 2 immediately after, so it was all fresh in my mind. I literally read them back to back to back, especially that when I got to the end of the second one, I had to pick up the third one and find out what was going to happen next. I wasn't overly impressed with the first one just because I thought there was so much potential for it to go in a different direction where it's really genuinely creepy. I think these are technically in the horror genre, but they're not really that scary. They're not scary. But it had potential to be something really creepy, and this otherworldly aspect, and I just thought it was going to go in a complete different direction to what it did. But having accepted that, given it time, rereading it and then reading the second 2 immediately after, I'm over that now. I do think this is a really cool concept. I did find myself, the more I read it, the more intrigued I got and the more I wanted to know, and I'm really intrigued as to where it's going to go from here, because it feels like it could kind of end here. Like, this is a set story, but I think there are more. And so I'm very much looking forward to see where we go from here. I think I would give them maybe like a 7.5 out of 10. I think the second one might be my favourite. That was the one where it's the most like, what's gonna happen? I also read a poetry collection this month, Hold Your Own by Kate Tempest. This was kind of inspired by Tiresias, Greek myth. It's about a man that got turned into a woman and maybe got then turned back into a man again. And so when the gods are having an argument about whether men or women enjoy sex more, they get this guy to tell them, because they know, because they've been both. So it's really interesting looking at gender, and I think there's a lot of potential in this. It's not just about that though, it is also about the modern setting and gender in our times, and particularly the section on womanhood I found really interesting, and the very first poem, which is a longer poem about Tiresias, I really enjoyed that one, but the rest were just kind of okay. None of them stood out to me, and I'm not an avid poetry reader, but then there's also, an argument that anyone should be able to pick up poetry. You shouldn't have to be an avid poetry reader to understand poetry. And I've read some, I have an English lit degree. It just didn't speak to me. There were some that I really liked, and there were some that literally just... So, a little bit of a bummer, because I had high hopes for it. I'd heard nothing but good things. But that first poem, I did really enjoy, and there were some in here that I really like, so I might reread it again someday and maybe my opinions will change. I would give it a 6.5, maybe 7 out of 10, I think. And then on to the short story I read this month. I read listened to the Evidence of the Affair audiobook. There's a narrator that is often narrating the Taylor Jenkins Reid book. She's in both Daisy Jones and the Six and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and she's great. It was just over an hour maybe, and I listened to it with my boyfriend, and I really enjoyed it. I was really intrigued. The more I listened to it, the more I was like, what's going to happen here? And I thought I knew what happened, but I didn't. I didn't expect it to go where it did. I mean, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. It's set, I feel like, in the 70s, maybe 80s. She does time period stuff so well, and she gets across the voices so, and there's just a tone that her books have. From the limited amount I read, all of them have this same kind of feeling. Just love it. I just really enjoyed it. 10 out of 10. Really enjoyed this. Found it really interesting and thought-provoking. Now on to the novels that I read this month. I read 3 books in the Claudine series by Colette. That's Claudine in Paris, Claudine Married, and Claudine and Annie. I read Claudine at school last year, so I finally picked up the rest of them. I think there is another one, not a Claudine book, but Colette writes about it, at least in the preface for these books, about how she wants it to be the last Claudine books, and it's a more satisfying ending. I think it's Retreat for Love or something to that effect. It's as if all the house fonts of Paris were cut away and we could see men and women talking, dressing, brooding, loving. That's a good one, that one actually. I agree with that. So these books all follow the main character Claudine, apart from this one, which follows both Claudine and Annie. This one's actually from Annie's perspective. So that was really interesting. Gets into being Claudine's head for 3 books for like years, and then seeing her from an outside perspective. I definitely enjoyed these more than I enjoyed the first one, although I did enjoy the first one as well. But these ones are in Paris and she's a bit older, and I think the themes that's going on are just a little bit more interesting. In particular, these two are my favourite. Themes and what's happening is very relevant to my research. That's why I read these for research for my novel. It was just all really interesting stuff, and I found the writing in these two ones to be particularly beautiful. I mean, there was some good stuff in this one as well. They're about life, I want to say early 1900s Paris. Follow Claudine going through life essentially, but they do tend to have more of a romantic and also sapphic trend theme going on. Last 2 novels I read this month were Last Stand of Dead Men and The Dying of the Light by Derek Landy. These are both skullduggery books. I always want to say The Last Stand of the Dead Men because that's what it should be. I think there might be like a 5-word cap or something. These are books 8 and 9, so they're the last 2 I have been rereading. The Skullduggery Pleasant series this year. I read them when I was younger, and then when I got to about like 16, 17, I stopped reading them because I got really busy with school and stuff. I never read these 2. So I finally have read them. It's so exciting. I know how the series ends. I mean, there is another series afterwards. This isn't like the end. I guess that did kind of spoil me for things, the fact that there could even be another series. Still very exciting nonetheless to know how it ends. And I think these were my favourite of the series actually as well. I don't know if it's just because they're the ones I hadn't read, but it is interesting. The last 3 definitely have a different tone to the rest of the series. The stakes just feel a lot higher, particularly in these last 2. I'm not entirely sure which one of these I prefer over the other one. I think I would give The Dying of the Light a 9 out of 10, which means if I give Last Stand of Dead Men anything lower than a 9 out of 10, then automatically this one's my favourite. But this being the last book, and this being the last book in a 9-book series, there's a lot of expectations. We've been building to this stuff from book 1, book 4 if you want to be really specific, but kind of from book 1 too. And we've really been building towards this. And there's so much pressure with the last book to do it right, and I think he did a great job. I have a couple little nitpicky things wrong with it, but other than that, can't really complain. It was really satisfying the way so many things came full circle, and the way characters interacted, and so many things happened that we were waiting to happen. There was happy moments and there were sad moments. It was really realistic and it was funny. Just so lovely. That being said, I don't know, just there's something about Last Stand of Dead Men. It just felt really gritty and exciting, and wars going on, and so we're building up to so much stuff, and the stakes are high, and the stakes, like, it's stressful because there's so much building, because there's been so many plot points that they're gonna have to come to an end soon, and you can feel all that, and it's stressful reading it, but that makes it kind of exciting in a way. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it there. I don't really know what else to say. I'm gonna do a full video, I think, just talking about the Skullduggery Pleasant series. I know more of my thoughts, then stay tuned for that. But that is all I have for this video. Please let me know down below what you read this month. If you've read any of the books that I've read, what did you think of them? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have an awesome morning, afternoon, evening / night. My name's Jade. I hope I see you again next time. Goodbye! I definitely enjoyed these ones more than I enjoyed Claudine at school. Hello. Hello. Oh my goodness, look at you. Are you so big? Are you being so big? One of the graphic novels I read this month. I'm not. My dog's rubbing herself against me like she's a cat. I'm not entirely sure which one of these though. Freya! What is it?